Hello and welcome from the famous Iron Bridge across the River Severn in Shropshire to our contest to find Britain's strongest man. Well, this part of the world has always associated itself with the power and strength of industrial man. This, they say, was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. And it was here, nearly 2 centuries ago, that iron was first produced on a really big scale. Well, now this whole area around Iron Bridge and Coalport and Coalbrookdale has become one vast and fascinating industrial museum in tribute to those men of iron. So it's fitting that our 8 contestants, who are all experts at pumping iron, should attempt their feats of strength in these surroundings. And here are the 8. From Wales at 18.5 stone, weightlifter Mike Brown. From southeast London at 17.5 stone, Peter Tancred, 6 times British discus champion. From Northern Ireland at 21 stone, Allan Crossley, former British arm wrestling champion. Our youngest challenger at 19, Simon Taylor, 18 stone, hammer thrower from Lincolnshire. The oldest challenger at 42, Jack Hind from Edinburgh, 18 stone, Olympic weightlifter. From London, Peter Welsh, 20 stone, bodybuilder, powerlifter and opera lover. Scottish powerlifter Ray Nobile, the lightest man, a mere 16 stone. And from London, powerlifter Steve Zetolofsky, 20 stone and the joker of the pack. And missing from that lineup is a very famous face and physique, that of the world's strongest man, Jeff Capes, who's standing back today, Jeff, aren't you, and letting the others have a go.
That's correct.
Joining me with the commentary.
Helping you, yes, yes.
Who do you think is going to win, then? Who's going to be Britain's strongest man?
I think my tip is going to be Steve Zetolofsky. He's very strong at the moment. Experienced, Jack Hind. Ray Nobile, because he's done it again before in 1979. So it's a good experienced field in there.
But your young protege, Simon's here, isn't he? What about his chances?
Well, I think it's a fair chance. I'm going to give him a 50-50 chance to get in the first 4.
Well, the first test is a really tough one, isn't it? The car overturn.
Deadly for the first event. I think it's the heaviest event, obviously, in the competition. You've got 2 of them. You've got a 1,400-pound car and you've got a 1,600-pound car, and you've got to run as well. So for the first event, it's a real tough one.
And what a pleasant setting for this first event. This is Coalbrookdale, with the old viaduct providing a very impressive backdrop. Thankfully, we've got a fine, warm day, and there's an expectant crowd waiting for the action to start. And first to go, it's Mike Brown, a newcomer to all this, against Peter Tancred, international athlete for 15 years. Now, if they fail to turn over the second car, the winner is the fastest to reach that second car, the 1100. So I think speed's going to be all important, John.
So Peter's very athletic, but I don't think he's as strong as Mike Brown, but he's a lot quicker over the ground. So I think he got to the second car quicker than this Mike Brown.
Now, this is a difficult one to move, isn't it, the 1100?
Yes, it's got a big problem with the long wheelbase. And as you can see, they're having a very, very big problem of actually lifting it off the floor.
And they can't shift it, but Peter Tancred reached that second car in 9.94 seconds. So is this event just too tough?
First in the morning, perhaps a little bit, yeah. But the mini was no problem, that was fairly easy. But it seems a big difference from the first car to the second car, right.
But what about the rest of the field, Peter? Who's the biggest competitor, do you think?
I think probably Steve Zetolofsky and Allan Crossley, probably. They've done it a few years now as well, so I rate them as the best competitors.
And what about your own chances?
I rate myself as well. But they're probably the strongest competitors. They'll be the hardest to beat, I think.
Which event are you looking forward to most?
The loading, truck loading.
And that's amazing, because that is rated the toughest of them all. Well, now, next to go, the youngest competitor, Simon Taylor, a horticulturist, adding a touch of flower power, perhaps. And Allan Crossley, the big man from Ulster, 4th in last year's contest and looking very determined.
If Simon stays with Crossley, he'll get a good time. And already Crossley's well in front, but Simon's gone through, and he's stayed as long as he can with him. I told him to go through and stand back and then have one good attempt at it.
Still no luck. The 1100 refuses to budge, but Crossley was the fastest so far to reach it. 8.32 seconds. Simon Taylor took 10.03. Well, Simon, the new boy, first time in a big contest like this. How do you feel now for the first one?
Well, I'm pleased I've got the first event over with. Quite a good time. I was quite pleased with it. I wanted to try and get the second one over, but I could only pull it a few inches, and that was it.
And did you make a decision not to really force yourself on the second curve, that you might injure yourself right at the start?
Well, I don't like to give up, and I did try, but you can hurt yourself bad. So I was satisfied with what I'd done. Very satisfied.
And what about the rest of the contest?
Oh, I'll let you know after the last event.
Well, nobody has managed to move that second car as we come to the final heat, and it's Ray Nobile, a former Mr. Scotland, very popular with the crowd, against Steve Zetolofsky. The other competitors have nicknamed him Talka-lotsky. So it's powerlifter versus powerlifter.
Yeah, I think you've got two of the strongest guys in the competition here, and Steve is already over super fast time, and Noble's taking his time.
But even Steve seems to be finding that 1100 just too much to handle. He's standing back, he's willing himself to have another go. Ray's still going.
But it's a great attempt that they're really trying, because anybody who can turn over the second car can actually win the competition.
Well, despite those frantic shouts of encouragement, the motors stay put. Steve has the second best time, though, 8.49 seconds. What about your overall chances? Do you think you're going to be Britain's strongest man?
Yeah, why not? Go on, yeah, let's upset everybody, yeah. Let's upset them all. Only one answer to that. Oh, we'll all give Arab. I'll give me best, and so will they.
Well, last year you were a bit off form, weren't you? What about this year? How are you feeling now?
Fairly strong. Fairly strong. I'm heavier. I'm not that much heavier, but I think I'm fitter for strongman events.
And the fitness of Steve Zetolofsky pays dividends with second place. Allan Crossley opens his account with a very useful 8 points, and the newcomer Simon Taylor is making his mark, but generally not a good event for the powerlifters. Right, on to event 2, and this area of Coalbrookdale is derelict now, but 250 years ago it had been buzzing with people as men worked in the foundries and the furnaces, creating the cast iron that made Coalbrookdale famous. It was hard work for strong men. We've got another hard task for strong men, Jeff, haven't we now?
That's right.
The brick lifting.
That's correct.
How does it work?
Well, basically, you've just got to lift the bricks off the table. Within the rules, you've got to place your hands flush with the bricks. No fingers protruding. Take the bricks, lift, up. The judge says, good lift, or down, and you replace the bricks and walk away, good lift. Just like that.
And as we join it at round 6, Steve Zetolofsky's got shoulder problems and he's out. But Tancred and Crossley have already lifted 14 bricks, that's the target in this round, and about to go Simon Taylor and Jack Hine, the youngest against the oldest. You think Simon will do this, Jeff?
Well, I think he should do it. He's done in excess of this amount before.
No problems at all there for young Simon Taylor. Now it's Jack Hine's turn. He's really struggling. Will he do it? No, that's it. Jack says he's had enough. He knows when he's beaten. But Peter, you brought the supporters with you, I see.
Yes, I brought the family today.
Who have we got here?
We've got Brenda, my wife, and Tanya, my eldest daughter. This is Rocky, the eldest boy, and Laurie. And here we have Colt. Little Colt.
And they travel around a lot with you, do they?
Well, wherever we go, we like to bring them along and come along together, you know. Family concern, so it's nice.
Come on, Dad!
Prepare to lift. So, lots of family support there for Peter Welsh as he lines up with Ray Nobile. 14 bricks on the line. And both of them make it look so easy. The competitors don't attempt this special lift very often, so when did Ray last try the bricks?
The last time I done it was 1979, where I got 13 bricks. In fact, Jeff got 14, breaking the world record with 15 then, you know, so I think that was 14 or 15 I got there, so I'm quite pleased at that.
Yeah. What sort of practice did you do for this then?
Well, I've never done any practice because I was called in at the last minute, a week's notice.
Really?
You know? Yes, But I do powerlifting, which is my own sport, and it helps in these events, obviously.
So how do you feel now, your chances are?
Well, we'll just have to find out, see how it goes.
And the last lone competitor in this round is Mike Brown.
I think I'm going to nickname him Cool Mike Brown, because I think he's got a lot of natural ability. He's got a hell of a crowd backing him up here.
And he does it. 14 bricks for the steelworker from Port Talbot. That makes his fans very happy. And after that round, 6 men left in the event.
Right, prepare to lift.
Right, we're now on 15 bricks with Peter Tancred and Allan Crossley.
I think Peter's picking it up now. He's very shaky in the early stages, but he's an old stager, a good competitor. I mean, I've known him for well over 20 years, and I think he'll be in there at the finish. Allan Crossley, good lift, but not that confident. But I still think Peter's hang in there. Come on, Peter. No, he's on his chest. That isn't allowed. He's not allowed to lay it across his body. He must pick it up with his hands only. There's no other part of the body must be used.
So Tancred's out. Welsh and Nobile haven't made it either.
Simon Taylor and Mike Brown.
Here's the last pair then in this round. Taylor and Brown, 15 bricks to lift, and only Allan Crossley has done that so far.
Prepare to lift.
And Taylor shows the mighty strength there in those arms and shoulders. But for Mike, the 15th brick is just one too many. So we come to the final round. Simon Taylor versus Allan Crossley.
Prepare to lift.
16 bricks, 88 pounds to lift.
I'm going to predict that Allan Crossley succeeds and Simon fails, I'm afraid. But I'd love to see Simon go through. Yes, there he goes. Crossley's up.
You're on the list, on the list, you're on the list, you're on the list.
Well, your prediction was right, Jeff, but what a tremendous effort there from the youngster. Allan, 16 bricks, 88 pounds. What did it feel like?
Felt pretty light, really.
Pretty light?
Well, I've done more than 16, so I was prepared to go a few higher than that.
You look to be having a bit of a hard time towards the end, though.
The only thing I was feeling was my legs felt a bit rubbery, but it just seemed to be a little rubbery around the legs for some reason.
So Allan Crossley also wins the second event. Simon Taylor, though inexperienced, doing very well. And the biggest surprise of the brick lift must be that Zetolofsky just didn't figure. Crossley with a commanding lead at this early stage then, with Taylor in second place, 5 points behind. Perhaps these first two events have favoured the athletes and not the powerlifters, who should do better later on. Now we've moved just 3 miles from Coalbrookdale to the open-air museum at Blist's Hill, a living reminder of the age of steam and coal and iron. Here's a carefully restored Victorian industrial village. A century ago, 400 or 500 people lived and worked here, and today details of their working and domestic lives are carefully preserved and put on show. And we're in the old timber yard for the next event, the log lifting. Jeff, what are the techniques for an event like this?
Well, I wouldn't be quite sure, because I've not done it without handles. We've done it with handles before in other championships, but I can foresee the lads rolling it up onto the shoulder, getting the hands underneath it and just jerking it out, just like an ordinary conventional bar.
5 logs gone, 5 men left. We're at the 200-pound log, and Allan Crossley's already hoisted it. Now it's the turn of Scotland's Jack Hind. It looks a difficult log because it's obviously heavier at one end than the other.
We've got a problem with the bark coming off as well, and if it does slip on the handhold, you could be in a bit of a difficult position.
A bit higher. Bit forward. Bit forward. Steady now, steady. Breathe. Stay on your heels.
Again, he's using an Olympic technique for a log, and he's slamming his feet down, which could have an adverse effect on the log jerk.
Steady. Steady, you've got 30 seconds.
Plenty of time.
He's using a neck press technique now, which again is very common in the gymnasium. So that shows his looseness in his shoulders.
So that's it. In his time, Jack's won all kinds of lifting honours, but not this one. Next to go is Peter Welsh.
Okay, to lift. Lift.
Come on, Dad.
Come on, Dad, I can hear them.
Yeah.
Peter Welsh's children shouting him on.
All tripping over the barrier, but as I said, Peter's very strong upper body. And, you know, if he gets in a good position, he's just going to make mincemeat of this. He's the same type of build to Allan Crossley.
Steady.
Steve, you're not looking too happy.
No, something popped in the shoulder on the brick lift, and it's just not functioning right. The shoulder just doesn't obey. It does its own thing. Can't control it. Well, it's just weak. One arm. I'm not having a great deal of difficulty with the logs, but I've got to do everything wrong. I've got to get past the pain barrier, so it looks like I've tried to rest the log on my head, which doesn't hurt too much because there's not much in the brain. But I'm not very happy.
So everyone's wondering how Steve will do. Well, most people are.
He's an aggressive character, and he'll give it 101%.
Well, earlier this year, Steve broke both Commonwealth and British records for weightlifting, but these logs are something different. Not quite got the balance there, I don't think.
He's using the head technique again.
More! Steady. How much time, please? Just jerk it out. Jerking hard.
That's it.
So, in spite of using his head, Steve Zetolofsky goes out. A brave effort. And the last man left in this round, Peter Tancred.
Come on! How many seconds? Just go! Come on, Peter, you're strong enough!
Steady, wait.
And a great lift for someone who's really trained to throw the discus. But does he think he might go on to win this event?
No, I didn't think the log lift would be a very good one for me anyway. It's as I said, the sack load is my
Yeah, the sack load.
but this is really hard. But I've done better than I expected, I think. So I'm fairly happy at the moment.
Now to 20 pounds, just 3 men left. Now here comes Allan with the log, which is shorter but much thicker and heavier.
Yeah. But again, you haven't got the balance problem now. You've shortened the range of balance problem. It's more like the length of a good bar, Olympic bar. And again, if he gets in a good position, he could just bang it out. Yeah, he's actually juggling with the log.
It's a very smooth log as well, isn't it?
No problem at all.
Prepare to lift. Lift! Yeah, boy.
Peter Welsh. Will he make this look as easy as falling off a log, I wonder?
I think so, as I said. I think it's Peter Welsh and Allan Crossley's exercise. They're getting it in a good position. They're using all their massive upper body strength.
On the chest! On the chest! Come on!
He's in a good pressing position now, and he's just going to press it out, just like that.
Prepare to lift. Lift!
So Peter Tancred, the last of the 3 still left in this contest.
Yeah.
Not his style of competition, this one,
No,
really.
not at all.
All right. Hold it.
He's a trier, is Peter. He'll keep going and going and going.
He's done it. Well, nobody succeeded in lifting a heavier log, so Allan Crossley, Peter Welsh and Peter Tancred shared joint first place. Hind and Zetolofsky tie for equal 4th. So Crossley is still at the top of the table with a 7-point advantage. The 2 Peters, Tancred and Welsh, are in close contention, but for Simon Taylor, a big drop from 2nd to 6th. Well, now we've moved to the ruins of the 3 mighty blast furnaces here at Bliss Hill, and for about 100 years, up till about 1912, this is where they made the iron, and this place would have been filled with heat and smoke and molten metal. Well, let's see what our men of iron make of this next test. We call it the trolley lift, and we're using this old wheelbarrow that once used to work in the furnaces. It weighs 53 pounds, that's about 24 kilos, and what the contestants have to do is to hold it with their arms at right angles like this, making sure their shoulders and their bottoms are against the post, and they've got to hold it for as long as they can. And for the contestants, our two officials, Jaime and Wilbur, will actually let go of this barrow. The trolley lift is all about levers. The longer the arm, the greater the leverage and the strain on the shoulder muscles. So those with shorter arms could well have an advantage. Here's Simon Taylor.
Right to the ends of the bar. Okay, lift it up, arm straight, slightly lower. Let's go. Go! Come on,
Steady, Simon.
For the first few seconds, it feels as light as a feather, but then it gets heavier and heavier and heavier.
Come on, easy.
Be aggressive.
All right, come on, Taylor. Come
And for Simon Taylor, the young hammer thrower from Lincolnshire, a time of 35.25 seconds. Now, Peter Welsh, shortish arms, tremendous strength in his upper body. Through all that powerlifting, all that should be a bonus. Controlled deep breathing helping him. But now those breaths aren't quite as deep. This is where it really starts to hurt. And for Peter Welsh, a time of 36.10 seconds.
Into position.
Ray Nobile next to go. Again, he's got enormous strength in his upper body and the right kind of mental determination. And just imagine, this is like holding a bag of potatoes weighing about 4 stone, that's 25 kilos, straight out in front of you without moving a muscle.
30.
Terrific effort, and he drops the trolley after 36.90 seconds, and that's the best time so far. Peter Tancred now, and he could be at a disadvantage here with those long arms of his, but he's a man who doesn't like to give in. And it's looking very good. It's all a question of mind over matter, and it's easier said than done. How long can he put his body through this kind of punishment? And Peter Tancred finishes at 41.42 seconds. A great time, and that puts him in the lead for this event. And this is Tancred's nearest rival, Allan Crossley, in the overall lead so far. He's got long arms, but he's also a world champion arm wrestler, a great all-round sportsman. So can he beat Tancred's time?
Come on,
And that must be disappointing for Crossley. His time, 31.71, 10 seconds less than Peter Tancred. So despite the disadvantage of his long arms, Peter chalks up his first win. Predictably, the shorter arm men finish in second, third and fourth, but Allan Crossley has his worst showing so far. Nevertheless, he still leads, although Tancred has now narrowed the gap to just 2 points. Peter Welsh is third with 20, and Simon Taylor moves up to fourth place with 17. And Crossley, congratulations in the lead at the halfway stage.
Thanks very much.
Quietly confident now?
No, well, I'm and I'm not, you know, that sort of way.
Were you a bit disappointed with the trolley lift there?
Not really. I always thought I wouldn't do that well. The longer the arm, the further away from the body, the harder it is. At least I always thought this, so I was quite pleased with it done.
Well, there are two Peters catching up on you quickly now, Peter Tancred, Peter Welsh. 2 points between you and Peter Tancred.
Yeah, well, I'll be singing that song, Fly Away, Peter, you know. I'll be flying away.
And we're staying amongst the ruins of the old blast furnaces for event number 5, the deadlift. Each man can make 6 lifts at the weights of his choice. So it's a tactical event, both physically and mentally. And beneath the platform attached to the lifting bar is this cage loaded with increasing numbers of bricks and iron castings. Well, Jeff, 4 events down, 4 to go. How's it going, do you think?
I think it's going very well, actually. Although we've got another day's competition, this event, I think, will sort a few out, the deadlift. And on prediction, I think Steve Zetolofsky is one of the better lifters in powerlifting. But all in all, it's all about placings, it's all about positions. And I think with this being the 5th event, I think there's room for other people to move in towards the top placing of Allan Crossley.
Already the strain of the deadlift has claimed 1 casualty, a big upset. Second placed Peter Tancred has retired with a back injury. So this is Simon Taylor at 632 pounds.
Yes. He made a good attempt last time, and he'll give everything he's got. Don't forget, he's only 19, and I think he'll do a superb attempt at this weight. He won't give in. He will not give in. Yes! Well done. Superb. Well done, Simon. Yes.
Is that about the heaviest he's ever lifted, Jeff?
Yes, certainly in the competition. As I said, he would never, ever give in. He'd rather have his hands ripped off before he gives in.
And that turns out to be Simon's top lift. Jack Hind went one better to a maximum 654 pounds. And Peter Welsh broke the 700-pound barrier, lifting 709 pounds before bowing out. More weights into the cage, and Allan Crossley is still going strong at 731 pounds, 332 kilos. Jeff, how do you think he'll get on at this weight?
I think he'll, although he'll do it, I think a lot of these guys don't really know how much they can lift because they're not a deadlifter in normal type of training for their own sport. But it just shows you the determination of Allan Crossley. He just went in there and ate it. He shook me again.
But that was Crossley's best lift, and the man from Coleraine returns to the bench. Here's Mike Brown from Wales, 808 pounds.
This Mike Brown's beginning to impress me a little bit. And as I said, he's a dark horse. He's very cool, very quiet. And I think he's calculating all the time. Mind you, I think you'll find this hard. It won't be easy anyway. But he's got to lift it. He's driving, he's driving, he's driving, he's driving. And he's done it. Superb.
Yes, a tremendous lift, but that's as far as Welshman Mike Brown goes. But Mike's beaten Allan Crossley into 4th place, and those Irish eyes aren't smiling. So here's Ray Nobile, who's elected to attempt 819 pounds. That's 371 kilos. It's hotting up, Jeff.
I think it's a 2-man tussle, really, John. I mean, Ray Nobile and Steve Zetolofsky is two of the strongest men in the country at this sort of lifting. And there he goes.
And that lift by Ray keeps him very much in the running. Well, now it's Steve Zetolofsky to lift 863 pounds. That's 391 kilos. It's been interesting watching Steve's tactics in this event. He started much later than the others. He's been saving himself for the heavier weights, which he's confident of lifting.
Prepare to lift. Come on, man. Lift.
I think he'll just blow it through the roof, John. He is in so much tremendous form at the moment.
Well, Steve really making it look so easy. I wonder what Ray's going to do now. Well, he's opting not to lift at the moment. Now it's 907 pounds, 411 kilos. That's the weight of about 20 fully packed suitcases. Steve at his 5th lift.
We're getting a little bit tactical in here. Ray Nobile and Steve was playing at cat and mouse there for a minute. But Steve's got 1 lift in hand, so he's going to take a 907. He's going to try and goad Ray into lifting the same weight. But don't forget, he's got another lift to come.
Yes. Closer to it. Come on. Closer. Come on.
What a face.
Well, he held it there for 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh, yeah. It's a contempt rather than just showing off. It's just contempt for Ray and Nobile. Although they're great friends, it's great rivalry. And I think Ray's got to come back at that. And he's got a smile on his face. I don't know what he's going to do. He'll probably just back out now. I don't think so.
No, he's not giving up. In fact, he's looking very determined. And Steve's very thoughtful.
He is really fired up here. I think he'll give everything into this because he wants to beat Steve.
He's really psyching himself up there, isn't he? Shouting at himself, shouting at the bar.
Yeah. I think he's going to give it 120%.
Come on, Ray, let's go.
So Ray Nobile is attempting 951 pounds, 431 kilos. Well, in spite of that mammoth effort there, Ray couldn't quite make it, so he hasn't bettered Steve's lift of 907, which makes Zetolofsky the winner of the deadlift. Ray Nobile and Mike Brown achieving their best positions so far in an event that favoured the Power Boys. So at the end of day one, Allan Crossley leads with 31 points, and despite his injury, Peter Tancred is still in second place, 6 points behind, with Welsh and Nobile snapping at his heels. So now we're into day two of the contest, and it's really hotting up now with 3 events still to go. And we've moved up to the banks of the Shropshire Canal at Bliss Hill. In the olden days, this canal was worked by barges carrying all the raw materials of industry. And the barges, of course, were pulled by horses. Now the canal's disused, but we're bringing it back to life today with 2 barges going to be pulled by our men of iron. And the total weight of these barges, the small tugboat over there and this big old wooden icebreaker, is 12.5 tons. And our contestants have to pull it for 30 metres along the bank. Well, here are the 3 who are chasing Allan Crossley for the leadership. Peter Tancred, who's second, Peter Welsh, who's third, and Ray Nobile, who's fourth. How did you sleep last night, Peter?
Very well, in fact. After a nice meal and a couple of drinks, felt very nice, very soundly.
No aches and pains today?
I've got a little bit of a back injury from yesterday, but no problems otherwise, no. Feel pretty good.
What about you, Peter?
Well, I only had about 5 hours sleep, but that's a normal procedure for me.
Ray, yes. How are you feeling today?
Not too bad. Slept quite well last night. Good sleep.
No nerves?
No, not really. No nerves now, no.
Are you looking forward to this barge pull?
Not really looking forward to it with being the lightest competitor here, only, well, 16 stone, you know, but once I get it moving, I think I can manage it.
And just to make things even harder, 10 passengers have been added to the weight our strongmen have to pull. And the first away is the oldest, Jack Hind. Now, Jeff Capes, you've pulled all kinds of heavy things. What's the technique?
Getting a quick start is very, very important, and then to maintain it until the finish. It's floating, so it's a different feeling, I think, from some of the guys who actually pulled lorries and been pulling cars and such things in training. Probably the weight of the man will be in evidence, and obviously the heavier man, if he can create inertia quicker than the slower man, he should win.
And that's a time of 41.8 seconds for Jack Hind, setting the standard. Well, Jack's out of contention now, but he was almost sprinting along. And you were keeping quite high up.
Yeah, but I'm not doing it to start with. So,
and age didn't show?
I don't think so, no. No, the makeup girl was in this one. Yeah.
This really is an idyllic setting, but Ray Nobile isn't worried about the scenery right now. His concern is to get those barges moving. Once they're in motion, his job gets easier. But remember, he is the lightest man. He's crouching right down as low as possible, almost on all fours, the right technique. But he's finding it hard to get a good grip on the towpath there. Maybe he should have worn shoes with spikes on. That is allowed. But it's going to be a slower time than Jack Hind. And it's 44.2 seconds for Ray Nobile. Now the turn of Steve Zetolofsky. Steve's bound to be feeling good after the last couple of events, but powerlifters like him aren't really built to do a lot of running or donkey work like this. When we were talking earlier, he told me that he even hates jogging. So how about this? Steve, 39 seconds 08, the fastest yet.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
I'm tired.
You come here often?
Not really, only in the making team. We barges run out of engines and horses.
Well, Steve's certainly got a point there.
Peter Tancred of England. On your marks, get set.
So Peter Tancred really needs a good time for this if he's to beat Zetolofsky and maintain his challenge to Allan Crossley's leadership. And I notice that Peter is wearing golf shoes with spikes on them to give him a better grip.
Come on, move it! Come on, okay, move it!
And it's going to be good. 41.01 seconds. Not a bad time for an all-round athlete.
What do you want me to say?
Well, let's put you in second place behind Steve in this event.
Okay, just I think it all depends on Allan. What he does next. But he just loaned me his spikes. I think he sort of see how I went, then he'd want them back now, I think.
The spikes helped you with the grip?
I think so, a little bit, yeah.
Well,
not with the breath.
You recover from this. Well, the icebreaker and the little barge get back into position again, and it's time for the man who's leading the contest so far, Allan Crossley.
Get set.
Hold it, hold it, hold it.
Go, go.
And Allan isn't wearing spiked shoes. Now, that's a surprise, especially after he'd lent a pair to Peter Tancred and saw the way it helped Peter to grip the towpath. He'll be regretting that now because it's going to be a slow time for the overall leader. And this won't be good news for Allan Crossley, 44.83 seconds. So, for the second time in a row, maximum points for Steve, the Cockney showman. Peter Tancred, happily recovered from his injury, gets 7 valuable points, but for Allan Crossley, his worst event yet. How do you feel for the next event now, then?
I'm good at it.
And he'll need to be, because Peter Tancred is really breathing down his neck. Just 1 point in it, and with Steve Zetolofsky making his charge for the top, there's only 3.5 points between these three. Well, we've moved down to the railway sidings now for event 7, which promises to be a real killer test, doesn't it, Jeff?
That's right, John. In fact, it was the worst event I actually participated in the World Championships last year.
What we're going to do, we're going to use this old crane here for what's called the coal hoist, because we've got 3 sacks of coal there. They weigh 2.5 hundredweight, that's about 127 kilos, and the contestants have got to try and hoist those sacks right up to the top there. If they do hit the top, a bell rings. And they've got to sit down here, haven't they, Jeff, to start with?
They've got to pick up the rope, and they've got to sit down until the whistle blows, and then they could stand up again, and they pull it either be by both hands or one hand and over hand.
And who do you fancy then to win this?
I think the guy with the biggest hands.
Well, Crossley really does fancy his chances, and he does have pretty big hands. We'll see.
First competitor, Peter Tancred of England.
And he'll really need to do well here to have any hope of overtaking Allan Crossley.
Take the strain. Pull!
'Peter Tancred's hands may be sore, but that's the time to beat. 16.7 seconds. And here's the man who could do it.
Allan Crossley of Ireland. Take the strain. Pull! .7 seconds at the bell for Allan Crossley, the fastest so far. Well, he did say he was good at it. A bit of advice there from the master.
Peter Welsh of London. Take the strain. Pull!
And 10.1 seconds for Peter Welsh, only half a second slower than Crossley. And Allan's almost smiling, scenting victory perhaps. But Steve Zetolofsky is not out of it yet. He's had his injury problems during the tournament, but he's fighting back now.
Take the strain. Pull!
11.1 seconds for Steve. And after the coal hoist, Allan Crossley stamps his superiority on the competition with his fourth first place. But Peter Tancred's poor showing must have ruined his chances of snatching the title. One more event, and Crossley's way out in front. But Zetolofsky's brave challenge promises a real showdown for second place. Only 2.5 points separate Steve, Tancred and Welsh. And now we come to the final challenge. All 8 of our strong men have survived 7 tests so far, 7 body-crunching, muscle-sapping tests. And now here comes the one that all strong men fear. It's the sack loading. What we've got 10 sacks, each one filled with sand, and each sack weighs 75 kilos. That's about 12 stone, the weight of an average person. And the strongmen have to carry each sack across the cobbles here, over the side of this wagon, and dump it in here. Go back and get the next one. It's all against the clock. Believe me, those sacks get heavier and heavier, and there's everything to play for. Although Crossley is almost invincible, anything can happen in this event. Mike Brown, composing himself, he's paired up with Steve Zetolofsky. Now, if Crossley comes last and Steve wins, then he could just pip Allan at the post. But that's surely an unlikely possibility. The truth is that Steve's really battling for second place. Now remember, Steve is not a track athlete. He hates jogging, and he'd rather wait for a bus than walk. Yet here he is running around with the equivalent weight of the bus driver on his shoulder. Mike Brown still looking quite fresh, but Steve Zetolofsky is definitely tiring. The side of that wagon is just over 5 feet. It must feel like a prison wall to Zetolofsky. He hasn't figured with the leaders, but Mike Brown has never stopped trying, and he's showing just how courageous he is. And Steve's in trouble. This event really has completely sapped him. He's in terrible agony, and it can only be sheer guts that's keeping him going now. Mike Brown on his 9th set, just tossing it in. This is his final sack. And that's it. Brown's distraught. Zetolofsky's destroyed. For Mike, 3 minutes, 21 seconds, 10 sacks. What a test of stamina.
Hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Oh. You go start off great and strong and get halfway through and everything leaves you. Oh.
You feel like jelly?
Legs, everything are gone. Oh. It's killer.
Ray Nobile looking very apprehensive, and not surprisingly, as he lines up against Peter Welsh. And because Steve had to retire, Peter's chances of that second place must surely have been improved. Remember, 10 sacks, 75 kilos each. Well, Ray Nobile is a fireman back home in Scotland. I wonder if his training will help him through these next fearful minutes. Peter Welsh looking very solid, just ambling along with the sack there. Well, that's an interesting technique. You just can't bear to watch. Welsh with 2 sacks to go, but Nobile is struggling. After lifting 750 kilos, he's sprinting for home. Ray's still struggling. His arms can barely lift that sack. His legs are giving in. His mind wants to carry on, but his body just can't take any more punishment. And it's the early bath for Ray. Now it's the man who must be champion, Allan Crossley versus Peter Tancred, who's always said he's been looking forward to this.
On your marks, get set.
Both men are setting off at, well, a sedate pace. Crossley, confident, impassive, almost nonchalant. And Peter Tancred beginning to feel it. Even Allan Crossley's taking a breather, but he goes on. Two sacks left for Peter Tancred, but there's only one sack now separating Allan Crossley from the title of Britain's strongest man. Over goes the sack, and over goes Allan for a victory roll. A proud moment for the new champion. And amid the cheers, Peter Tancred, the man who always was looking forward to this, delivers his final sack. As Allan Crossley cools down, I wonder if Peter really did enjoy himself.
I hated it. I'll take up discus again, I think. That was really hard, that.
And the result couldn't be more convincing. Allan Crossley a clear winner, and Tancred and Welsh deservedly sharing second place. And well done young Simon Taylor in his first strongest man contest.
Congratulations, Allan Crossley from Northern Ireland, Britain's strongest man.
Yeah, well, thanks very much.
First time anybody from Northern Ireland's won the title, I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Not be the last. I'll do it again, I think.
You made the sack loading look very easy, and I love the sort of victory roll at the end into the wagon.
Yeah, well, I'd thrown all them sacks in. I said to myself, well, if they was good enough for them, I may as well throw myself in with them.
And now you'll be facing it with Jeff Capes in the European competition. How are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, it's a bit like David and Goliath, you know.
Which is which?
I think I'll call myself David.
So, amid the celebrations, we wish you a very good night as my colleague Jeff Capes, the world's strongest man, presents the trophy to Allan Crossley, Britain's strongest man.
I'll be back.